News you won't see in the mainstream media, we've got you covered right here at the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, brought to you every Monday to Thursday with the help of these guys behind me, Lay of the Land. And if you are new to us, welcome. We consider ourselves a community here at the Israel Brief. In fact, almost a family. We meet every day, we bring our beverage of choice, and we take a look at those top stories making headlines in Israel that you necessarily won't see in your mainstream media. So today is day 257 of Israel's war with Hamas, started on the 7th of October with the atrocities, the crimes against humanity committed by internationally recognized terrorist organization Hamas on Israeli citizens and foreign nationals. And we can't forget that there are still 120 hostages still held captive in the Gaza Strip from a variety of different countries and nationalities. Release them now. As you can see, we always keep our hostages in everybody's consciousness by making sure that our red or our yellow ribbons are visible. So let's take a look at those top stories, and we go north where Hezbollah last night released a 9-minute video of footage that they say has been taken inside Israeli sovereign territory, inside Israeli airspace. The video is purported to show strategic sites around the northern port city of Haifa. And the mayor of Haifa has said that it is psychological terror being waged by Hezbollah. We also can't forget that Hezbollah, like Hamas, is an Iranian-sponsored proxy, except that Hezbollah poses a much bigger threat to Israel than Hamas. To date, Hezbollah have fired thousands of rockets and drones into Israeli sovereign territory in the north of the country, setting fire to massive swathes of Israeli territory, including nature reserves, kibbutzim, farms, and communities. Many communities are in fact destroyed, and rocket fire still continues. Earlier this week, Amos Hochstein, the special envoy from the White House, was in Israel and has also been to Lebanon to try and dampen the rising tension, but it does look like a large escalation could break out imminently despite all efforts to try and contain it. And the IDF have said that they have approved plans should this be the scenario that takes place, should we have to go to a full-scale escalation against Hezbollah. And again, we reiterate that the war is not with Lebanon, it would be with Hezbollah, an Iranian proxy that is infinitely more sophisticated, more prepared, and more armed than Hamas. We hope it doesn't get to that, but we are prepared for any event. The pier, the aid pier that was built by the United States, which is a temporary pier with the aims of getting more aid, humanitarian aid, into the Gaza Strip, has largely failed. It is likely that the pier could be dismantled next month. Now, why has it failed? Everybody wants to know. Well, it's been operational only for 10 days since being fully built in March, and this is due to ocean currents, the water conditions, the weather conditions, as well as needing repairs and also security concerns. We can't forget that a couple of weeks ago, large parts of the pier actually broke away, and some of it floated towards the southern port city of Ashdod, had to be brought back and reconfigured. Now, it is believed that one of the reasons that the pier could be shut down is to put additional pressure on Israel to open extraterrestrial crossings to bring in the humanitarian aid from Gaza. If you monitor the ingoing aid, which you can by following COGAT, you can follow COGAT, C-O-G-A-T, online on their social media, or if you Google COGAT, it will take you to their website and you can keep up to date with the amount of aid that is going in. Earlier today, Hamas fired towards the Kerem Shalom crossing. This is a vital crossing that is open to ensure that those aid trucks get in. The United Nations have said that they are unable to distribute aid from Kerem Shalom. They say because of lawlessness by civilians in Gaza, they say there is no law enforcement to ensure that people obey the rule of law, and that looting and lawlessness is preventing them from getting that aid into Gaza for distribution. Note that they did not blame Israel. And the UN has also said that there is no evidence to support claims of famine in the Gaza Strip. As you no doubt know, you've probably seen in the mainstream media and at places like the International Court of Justice, accusations against Israel of causing widespread famine in the Gaza Strip. And that an independent study has looked to see that there is enough aid going in and enough calories per person in Gaza that ensures that there is no famine in Gaza. And this brings to mind many of the accusations that have been made against Israel throughout this war. We saw with the Al-Ali hospital, the accusation that Israel struck the hospital in an airstrike. It turned out to be an errant rocket of Palestinian Islamic Jihad that struck the parking lot. We saw that accusation of causing a stampede around humanitarian aid. That was Hamas. And now the issue of famine has been roundly debunked. It looks like nearly all of the accusations leveled against Israel have routinely been debunked, which is why we always say, make sure you check your facts, make sure that you research around these topics to see what is actually happening on the ground. And if you need, just come here to the Israel Brief, because we've got you covered. Today is the International Day of Elimination of Sexual Violence of Women in Conflict. And this is a very, very important topic. And I'm going to speak about sexual violence now. So if you are triggered, please consider this just an alert about what I'm going to be speaking about. On the 7th of October, we know that Israeli women and girls and even some of the men were sexually violated by Hamas. Rape was used as a weapon of war against Israeli civilians. And what has been truly, truly devastating is the silence of women's organizations around the world and governments around the world. Yesterday, I brought you the story from the White House that Vice President Kamala Harris said that we cannot look away and we cannot be silent. And that is a challenge I put out to all women's organizations and to all governments. On the 7th of October, these crimes, mass rape, were committed against Israeli women and girls deliberately. They were so brutal that they are unparalleled in recorded history. And silence means that not only have you failed these victims, you fail future victims. As Rabbi Mervis of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth said in a video address earlier today, there can be no hierarchy of victims. Just because the victims are Israeli, the majority Jewish, doesn't mean there can be a hierarchy and that our victims cannot be considered amongst the victims of sexual violence. So again, today I urge you all to watch Sheryl Sandberg's brilliant and harrowing documentary, Screams Before Silence. Please bear witness, especially on a day like today where we highlight these crimes against humanity. And of course, we are massively concerned for the hostages that remain in captivity. We know that crimes of sexual violence are being committed against them. We need to speak on their behalf and we need to demand their release now. And finally, we'll end on some good news before we get to the question of the day. And President Herzog hosted a farewell to, I had to think of the word there for a second, it happens in the heat and when you have to juggle two languages. He hosted delegations from Israel's Olympic team and Paralympic teams at his residence in Jerusalem, and he said that this is the largest delegation in a generation. And of course, we here stand firmly behind Team Israel, both Paralympic and Olympic. We are waiting for them to bring home medals and honor. And as the president said, that this year it is more important than any other year. Now, our teams are going to compete despite a concerted effort by the boycott, divestment and sanctions movement and their supporters to try and get Israel kicked out of the Olympic Games. Well, may the best team win, and we'll see you on the court and on the mats and on the running track and in the swimming pools and wherever there are Olympic events. Now let's get to the question of the day, and it comes from Carol in South Africa, who said that why are these protests allowed, these anti-government protests allowed? Surely they put strain on Israel's police and IDF. Well, first of all, Israel is a democracy and citizens are allowed to protest and voice their discontent. And we can't forget that these protests are demanding a deal that would see the release of our hostages. And while we do take issue with some of the policing that has gone on, it is not the role of the IDF to maintain order during these protests. It is the duty of the police. This is what they are here to do in a democracy. And while some of the tactics used by the protesters are inconvenient, they're not necessarily illegal. So Israel is a democracy, and however inconvenient for many people these protests are, we support people's right to free speech. So I hope that's answered that question. And remember, if you have a question, please pop it in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer them. And for the person on our Facebook page who keeps asking me where am I from, I'm originally from South Africa, but I live here in the beautiful state of Israel. That's it from me for today. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook page at Lottel's site, our YouTube channel right here at the Israel Brief. Please click on that red subscribe button. Let's grow our family. And we are on X at Lay of the Land 5. With that, I'm Rolene Marks. Guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. You know I'm crazy about you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.